We're going to get into the weekend rundown. This segment preview is brought to you by Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Follow us along on Instagram at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. You can follow us on YouTube as well at Comments from the Peanut Gallery. Like, share, and subscribe. And going into the rundown for the weekend, Clay, we have action from Thursday all the way through Sunday. So starting right off the top of the list, on Thursday we have the XKO Amateur Series 20. Now, I like when they have some of these amateur series cards out there to where, you know, you get to see pretty much like a dozen fights. So 24 young up-and-coming fighters get a chance to put their skills on display.
Yeah, absolutely. I fought for Tough Enough in Vegas a few times, which is all amateur shows, and you know, you usually can get the crowd going. It's mostly family and friends, so the crowd's usually pretty live, and you know, it's a good opportunity for everyone.
Definitely. Then following that, we have on Friday, you have one championship, the Winter Warriors show. We have one of the recognized as top grapplers of all time, and Marcus Buchecha Almeida. He's going to be looking to continue his quest in the MMA waters against Ji-Wan Kang. And then you also have Stamp Fairtex, who's making the walk for the third time in just 4 months.
Yeah, one has a great product. You know, it's fun watching different types of fights. You know, Muay Thai fights with small gloves, Jiu-Jitsu guys. They cater to everybody, so you can kind of catch a lot of different action on that card.
Definitely. And then following that, we have B2 Fighting Series out there in Kentucky. B2 has been on fire lately. They've been putting on shows all the way from Ohio to Kentucky and back and forth in between. That's just one of two that we'll get into talking with them this weekend. Then there's the Rigoro Fighting Championship RFC Rockland Fight Night 2, which I love these type of cards, Clay, where it's a combination of MMA, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. You just get to see a smorgasbord of the hostilities.
Yeah, it's similar to how one does it. You know, you get to see a lot of different action, and it's, you know, a lot of different type of fighters get to compete, so that's always good.
We have Battlefield Fight League BFL 70 in Vancouver, British Columbia. That is up in Canada, going down on UFC Fight Pass. That's just another opportunity to see a wave of international talent coming up in a couple of weeks on the Colorado Combat Club card. We have one of the more notable Canadian fighters right now in the mixed martial arts world, in Elias Theodoro. So make sure that you guys get your tickets or pick up on the stream for Colorado Combat Club in just a few weeks on December 18th for that fight. Shameless plug right there, my man.
Hey, no problem. I've headlined for them a couple times, so give them all the love you want.
Yep, definitely. And then following from that, this is one of the fights or one of the cards that I'm looking forward to most on the entire weekend. You have LFA 119 in Silveira versus Revo on UFC Fight Pass. You have Josh Silveira, who is son of the great Conan Silveira. He attempts to make LFA history as he becomes the first ever light heavyweight and middleweight champion simultaneously. The only other double champ in LFA history was Casey Kenny.
Yeah, you know, LFA is always a great feeder promotion, and winning titles in LFA is always a great indication that you might be in the UFC soon. So looking for that, obviously. Yeah,
and with Josh Silveira, Clay, it's not a question of if he'll be there. It's just a matter of when. You know, when your pops is who he is, he's a second generation kid who's grown up into the gym. Like when you talk about, you know, thoroughbreds, if you will, of this generation, that is Josh Silveira. He's turned into a lethal striker as evidenced by his head kick knockout in his last fight, but he's got that elite D1 level wrestling also on top of it to go along with his jiu-jitsu background. So that's a kid who is well-rounded and who grew up a mixed martial artist. He didn't grow up a striker who then got into MMA or vice versa, grappler, blah, blah, blah. He was a kid who grew up a mixed martial artist fighter and who just so happened to grow up in one of the top gyms in the world, an American Top Team.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be exciting to see how he does, and obviously, you know, I'm sure he's a heavy, heavy favorite, but it's always good to see these tests on the local level.
Certainly. And then on Saturday, across the pond over in Russia, we have ACA 133, Bimarazaev, I'm totally butchering that name, taking on the Brazilian in Elisimar Lima. You have always on these ACA cards, Clay, there's not really a whole ton of guys who have name recognition over on the state side, but you're always seeing guys that have, you know, 20 plus fights that are high quality veterans that if you're just looking to see quality fights with dudes who have a lot of experience and a great depth of skill, those are never bad shows to tune into.
Yeah, always explosive action over in Russia. You know, I've trained with a few guys like Diego Brandao and Luis Palomino who went out there and fought, and you're in for a tough fight if you're going over to Russia to fight.
Actually, I think that Palomino fought Lima at one point. When I was looking at but I could be off on that. I know that he has history with one of these guys on this card. And I was looking at that. It's funny that you mentioned that name directly. Just popped off the light bulb went off there, ladies and gentlemen. You have Cage Warriors Academy, Wales 5 over across the pond in Europe going down. That's another amateur showcase for that. So just again, one of those shows that gives these young guys a chance to grow and put their skills on display. Now back here stateside, I love just hearing some of the names for these cards out there. We have Winter Flurries 2 from Ultimate Battlegrounds. That's down in Myrtle Beach. B2 Fighting Series, just like we mentioned before, Clay, they're putting on back-to-back nights that happens to feature in this 142 card out there in Kentucky, a Bellator and PFL vet in Jason Butcher.
Yeah, you know, you'll see that a lot when guys kind of get to a higher level, and then sometimes they'll drop off, and then they usually jump into headline in these local shows, and it's a big opportunity for their opponent to try to like establish themselves among a more recognized name.
Definitely. Then running down the list, we're running out of time on this segment. We have Art of War Cage Fighting 21, Rumble at the Rivers out there in Pennsylvania. We have Extreme Cage Fighting 33, Holiday Havoc, with an MMA and Muay Thai show that can be streamed on FightPlanet.tv. We have the NFC Xmas Party, the National Fighting Championship that features the young gun Christian Turner, who is coming out of Diego Lima's camp down there at ATT Lima in Atlanta. He's a young undefeated prospect who has a lot of buzz coming up behind his name, so everybody's always trying to find out, who's next? Who's that guy that you can kind of attach yourself to as they rise through the ranks? Well, there's a name that you can maybe look into and see how he fares this weekend. You have Dynasty Combat Sports Seasons Beatings on Fight.tv out in Nebraska this weekend, going down in Lincoln. There's Shamrock FC 334 going down in St. Charles, Missouri, that can be streamed on shamrockfc.com. And closing out the weekend on Sunday, you can check out King of the Cage Kickstart on MAV TV at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Clay, that is a weekend full of action right there. Stick around after the break, folks. We're going to go 3 rounds. Hit us up on the Go Fast Energy Drink hotline and text line at 303-831-1340. This is the MMA Plug presented to you by DenverSportsBetting.com on 98.1 FM Mile High Sports Radio.
I threw my hands in the sky, bound to get closer to God.